On this episode of Brian, Mr. Main Event Waters, Road to WrestleMania, we have two very special guests, his parents, Robin and Howard Waters. Robin, can I ask you a few questions about, when you kind of noticed that Brian had a love or a passion for wrestling? How old do you think he was at that time?
He was in utero.
Okay.
Okay, and that happened because during my last few weeks of pregnancy, I would watch the news. And during the time when there wasn't a remote for my television, and I was just too lazy or, too pregnant to reach over and change the channel, I would just wait and watch the wrestling, which I absolutely detest.
Mm-hmm.
I come from a family of avid wrestling fans. I never liked it. But I developed an interest in Hulk Hogan and Nikolai Volkov and Jake the Snake Roberts, Jimmy Hart and the Hart Foundation and all of them. And then sometime during those last few weeks, I noticed that as soon as the announcer would say, "Welcome to the Worldwide Wrestling Federation," my baby would start kicking and moving about. So much so, I called my mother excited and I said, I know for sure I'm having a boy. And she said, "Why do you say so?" I said, "Because as soon as the wrestling comes on, he starts putting a chokehold on the placenta." And she said, "No, that's not so." And she said, "It's just probably you moving around." Or I said, "No, it's wrestling." And each Saturday night at 11:30, Brian would start moving around and jumping and, and then he lay still a while, and that's how I believe that, he started wrestling. So.
Okay, so Howard, let me ask you a question. How much money and time do you think you've invested in Brian's passion for wrestling during his younger years? So, like, when he really started getting into it and really started watching it, like, did he ask you to order pay-per-views or take him to events or buy him action figures? How much money could you say you invested?
Plenty.
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 Okay, so could you give me a ballpark figure?
No, because just don't cover it.
Okay.
Well, one thing, Brian, as I said, I came from a family of wrestling fans. So Brian inherited all of his uncle's action figures.
Mm-hmm.
And then, my mom would order pay-per-view, and you would go down and watch the wrestling. So to keep my children home sometime,
okay,
I would order the pay-per-view. And I believe the first action figure, it wasn't an action figure, I bought Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage wrestling buddies.
okay.
And I did that because Brian would wrestle all your doll babies and what have you. So buying the action buddies, he could practice.
Okay. So what do you think about Brian's opportunity to go to WrestleMania?
It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I'm glad he's able to achieve it.
Mm-hmm.
The first of many once-in-a-lifetime opportunities.
Okay. Okay. What about you?
Yeah, I'm glad for him. But he deserves, work hard, and yeah, it's a dream that he always wanted. So if he can pursue his dream, why not?
Mm-hmm. So, as you know, Brian has his alter ego, Mr. Main Event. What do you think about Mr. Main Event being at the main event, WrestleMania?
I think they're in for a treat.
Okay.
As long as he don't wrestle, he's fine.
Okay. Okay.
He takes on a whole different persona. Brian is, yeah, okay. He, you know, monosyllables, everything. But when he becomes Mr. Main Event, he gets, you know, a little taller. His voice is deeper, and he gets a little broader, and he gets excited, you know. And it's just funny watching him transform because, you know, I live with him, I know him, but just to watch him transform into Mr. Main Event, you can tell it's like he's living in a dream, you know. So.
Okay. So, who do you think Brian's favorite wrestler is from the past and like right now?
Everybody.
Okay.
Everybody. I thought maybe Hulk Hogan was the past.
Okay.
You know? But I think Brian is fond of all of the wrestlers, you know, and everybody. Triple H, I think, may have been one of his favorite wrestlers.
Okay. So, because of course, since you are his parents, you know that at one time Brian wanted to pursue a wrestling career. When he told you guys that, what were your thoughts? What ran through your mind? Were you kind of trying to discourage him from doing that? Were you trying to support him in that dream, or were you like, get real? You know, that's not making happen.
No, we wasn't trying to discourage him, but we looked at the physical contact. We knew he wouldn't be able to do it.
Okay.
And we said, why don't you try something else?
Okay.
You know, for your safety wise, you know. And I mean, this is just as big as being an announcer as being a wrestler, you know.
And you don't have to get all the bumps and bruises.
There you go. And, you know, I mean, I don't know how much they get paid. I might be in the wrong business my own self and find out how much they get paid. But it's a lot safer, and, you know, you get a chance to meet people, you know, and talk to them.
So, Mom, I know your heart probably jumped when he said, I want to be a wrestler, or I'm going to pursue wrestling. I want to go to wrestling school.
Yes, because I believe in high school he may have had one episode or two in gym, but I tried to discourage him because, you know, I believe that wrestling is real. I know many people say that it's fake, it's predetermined, and what have you. I still believe that it's real. Mm-hmm. And I have seen, and I've been there, and I felt the slaps just about. So I did not want him to go through that. So being an announcer is a safe alternative.
Okay. Are there any words that you want to say about Brian as a whole, and you know him being able to fulfill this lifelong dream of his?
I'm glad that I'm very happy that because it is a lifelong dream that he stuck with it. Mm-hmm. You know, in spite of all the obstacles, you know, he stuck with it. So, and he is he's achieving his dream at this point, you know, just being on the radio, you know, being able to go to all of the events, the local events, and now he's going to WrestleMania 28. Here comes Brian.
So what do you think about his newfound celebrity as Mr. Main Event? Brian talks about when he goes to these events, he has, you know, people or fans, as you would, come up to him and say, oh, Mr. Main Event, can I get a picture with you? What do you think about that? Do you see Brian, you know, propelling into maybe eventually being a host for WWE at some point?
The sky's the limit. You know, if that's your passion, your dream, you know, you only live once. You can't take none of it with you when you leave here. So why not leave a legacy? If that's what you want, go for it. Anything. My father always taught me, he said, whatever you do, be good at it. Mm-hmm. Whether if you're a drunk, be good one. If you're sober, be good at that, you know. But other than that, it's whatever you want.
Well, Brian has always been Mr. Main Event. He's always been the type of person that... Okay. He's always been the type of person that when you start talking about wrestling, he was Mr. Main Event. Even as a little guy, I remember one time we were at a clinic, a visit, and some little guy came in, another child that was seeing a pediatrician. He came in, and him and Brian just got down on the floor and started playing with their trucks and what have you. Brian looked at him and said, do you like wrestling? And the little boy said, yeah. That was it. They played silently for the next few minutes. They never asked each other their names or what have you. But he's always been wrestling has always been in his soul. And if he found an audience, he was Mr. Main Event when he was 5. He was Mr. Main Event when he was 15. So quite naturally at 25, he is, he's achieving his dreams and he's being all that he wants to be. And that's so important because we only get one life and we need to do what we want to do. So I'm happy for him. I am so happy for him. I don't have a desire to go to Miami, but I'm glad that he's able to go and enjoy himself.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us on this episode of Brian, Mr. Main Events, Waters, Most WrestleMania.